See, it were the day we lost the captain. Yeah. He fell overboard. He was drunk, as usual. He falls overboard. We be off the coast of Zamboanga, in the South China Sea. He goes over, he lands in the water. We tacks and turns about, but it was too late. The water had gone bright red, and then we see the fins. It were a pack of tiger sharks, and they was ripping him to pieces. They ain't big sharks, tigers, 8-9 foot apiece, I suppose. But when there's 10 or 15 on them, there ain't a lot you can do. Within, I'd say probably a minute and a half, there was nothing left of him. Nothing at all. Not a piece of skin, nothing. All the bones had gone and they'd eaten the bloody lot they had. That was a bad day, that was. Bad day.
What is that sound? What is that sound you are making, Fish? You are making a sound.
I got a cough drop in.
A coughing drop. What is it? Tell these verses to GoatVsFish.
It is a coughing drop to help me with my cough that I've had. Been a little bit under the weather the last week and a half, so been a little bit sick. But no way I'm missing GoatVsFish.
You do not miss GoatVsFish.
No,
GoatVsFish is here.
Just so I could be my full self, my full obnoxious self. I just bombed down a Red Bull right before this began.
You are consuming much. And you throw it upon the land of the goat. You throw it upon the land of the goat. You have thrown much upon the land of the goat.
Oh, yeah.
You do not care for the land of the goat, do you, Fish? Do you, Fish?
God, no.
GoatVsFish knows this one is a fish. Knows this one is a fish, but for the verses, are you goat or are you fish?
I'm a fucking fish.
Celebrate this fucking fish. Celebrate this fucking fish.
Goat versus fish.
In the beginning, there was goat versus fish. The GoatVsFish. And GoatVsFish said that there should be goat and that there should be fish. There is no alpha or omega. There is no black or white. There is no good or evil. There is only goat. And
fish.
And goat versus fish. Welcome to the GoatVsFish podcast, recorded at the Comedy Store Los Angeles, a place of GoatVsFish. GoatVsFish speaks to you now, speaks directly to you. You have many questions, yes. Who is GoatVsFish? What is GoatVsFish? Why is GoatVsFish? But there is only one question.
Who is goat versus fish?
That is not the question of GoatVsFish.
Are you goat or are you fish?
Are you goat or are you fish? This is GoatVsFish. This is Goat versus Fish. On this versus, GoatVsFish speaks to a fish. GoatVsFish even knows what it does call itself. It does call itself Mark the Shark Fish. It is Mark the Shark Fish. Celebration, celebration.
It's good to be. I'm pretty pumped to be here right now. I really am.
It is pumped. Pumped to be here. Yes, there is no good or evil. There is only goat or fish. Yes, why are you so pumped to be with GoatVsFish?
Because I friggin' love you every time you get on stage. It is, you get me hyped. I love getting hyped, and you get me hyped as fuck. You really do. Like, every time I see you do your thing. I love watching you.
What is the hypedness of this fish? Yes, what is a hyped fish? And when a goat perceives a hyped fish, what verses is it in for? What verses is it in for?
It being loud and out of control.
We cannot control this fish.
Fuck no. Nobody can.
No, but you are a shark fish. A shark, we hear, is a mighty fish. It is a mighty fish, yes, capable of consuming many goat. Is this so?
Damn right.
You have consumed goat.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us of the shark fish. Tell us all about what makes you a shark fish. Always a shark fish with this one.
Probably because I'm always hungry, I'm always moving, and if you're roast battling me, I'm gonna tear you the fuck apart. That's what it is.
Ah, the verses of the roast battle. Goat versus Fish has heard of these verses, yes, from the goat Joshua Meyerowitz, yes. That one is always at the roasting of the goat and fish, yes.
He is leading the chance for all of the goats and fish in roast battle.
Versus.
Because it is a versus.
Now, you had a triumph. You had a triumph in the verses of roasting battle now that you mention these verses,
yes? This week it was me and Jasmine were the final match of the night, and it was my comeback match, and we tore it down. We had a great match. I think I did 6 jokes. I did 6 what we call front jokes, what we call like a jab joke, like thank you, so on and so forth, and then like your main joke, which is like your right cross, and like all 3 of my jabs hit and 2 of my right crosses hit so hard, and we just had the entire audience chanting. It was a fun comeback. It really was.
So the fin of the fish, you use the very fin of the fish to triumph over this goat. It must be a goat because it is goat versus fish and you are a fish, yes?
Damn right.
How does it feel as a fish to know that you are triumphing, that all fish look upon you, fish, and know this was a triumph for fish?
It felt good. It felt so goddamn good. It felt good. It felt like it felt like there was a whole school of fish behind me.
Ah, many fish. It felt as many fish.
Tons of fish.
So you would say it felt as tons of fish, not that it was good. You keep saying that it is good, but Goat vs. Fish has said there is no good or evil. There is only goat and fish. Why do you insist on saying these fancifully verses?
Let me phrase it. I'm just saying it made me feel good. It just made me feel good as a fish. You know what I mean? It didn't like. I'm not saying it's a good or an evil fish. I'm just saying it was a good feeling.
Ah, you felt very fish, a very feeling of strong fish?
Yes, felt like a very strong fish.
Very strong fish,
yes.
Very strong fish. Thank you,
oh,
yes. Yeah. Goat versus fish is often, as you might versus, yes. Speaking to goat and fish and fence sitters as well, yes, that are always speaking of good and evil to goat versus fish. It is one of the many verses of goat versus fish that goat versus fish is always having to say that there is no good or evil, there is only goat and fish. Why are the goat and fish so concerned with it is that they are calling it it is good and it is not good? Why do they insist on these verses?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I'm thinking like Darth Vader said, there's no good or evil, there's only power. You know what I mean? Like fucking, there is no good, there is evil. There's only goat or there is fish.
Is Darth Vader a goat or fish?
That's oh.
Now that you have mentioned this Vaderist one, yes, is it goat or is it fish? Let us look at an evidence. Yes, let us look at an evidence. What is a goat or fishly evidence of a Darth Vader?
Oh man, I don't even know, dude. Wow, you have put me. Here's the thing. I'm trying to think of like what a good, I guess like you can say like the dark side or the good side of the force, but like you said, there is no good or
there is only goat and fish.
There's only goat and fish.
Yes.
So if you're gonna say there's man, see, I'm gonna say I'm a fish because I like going with the flow. A lot of things. Darth Vader, I feel would be a goat because I feel goats like butt heads way more. So I would say Darth Vader would definitely be a goat.
Who would triumph in a versus of Mark the Shark Stevens? Fish versus Darth Vader goat. Who triumphs in that versus?
Man, I mean, I've been probably thinking. I've honestly pictured myself battling Darth Vader since I saw the movie as a child. So I feel I got his number because I know straight up all of his moves. So I feel I'd win. I've wanted to be a Jedi forever. So I'm gonna go with the fact that I think I've studied a lot. I've studied enough of Darth Vader's tape to know all of his shit. Like, I know every trick he's got in the book. I even watched the shitty episodes 1 and 2, so even all the stupid crap from the beginning, even I know what to do. I know, like, what his weakness is. I know how to beat him in one of those land speeder races. I know that he's into older women, you know what I mean? Like, I know all that shit. Like, I got it.
How long have you known that you are a shark fish? You seem to know very well you are a shark fish, but when did this fish begin knowing it was fish?
I mean, I knew I was, before I became the shark, even though I was a little guy, I loved the ocean. I loved everything about it. The beach was like my life. You know, I always feel at home near the water. Always have. I came from the Bay State, Massachusetts, to here, California, you know, sunshine beach states for miles.
Goat, goat, goat versus fish versus fish. When you were a small one, You knew you were a fish. And now you tell Goat versus Fish that you witnessed the goat Darth Vader from when you were a small one.
Yes.
Regale us with your verses now. Imagine now you're in this verses. You're in this verses. You are going about being a fish. You're of the sea. You are a fish. And there before you now, is the Darth Vaderous goat. There are many ways that this verses could be, but these are your verses now. Tell us now of the triumph of this fish over Darth Vader goat.
Dude, I would come in hot. I would just come in slashing away. He wouldn't know what to do. I would let him think I'm angry, but I'm not angry. And then, like, just get pissed off enough. Because you have to get, here's the thing. One thing I know is, eventually, you can't get Darth Vader pissed. You just got to get pissed at Darth Vader. So you just got to come in full anger and just like Luke Skywalker, to just hold him down, just wail on him over and over again. Like, you just come in, like, just bare-faced, bull rush, and just take him down. That's what I would do.
Is a whale a goat or a fish? You have spoken of whales now. There is much contention if it is goat or fish.
It would still be a fish because it's mostly for water. Like, a whale can't live on land like a goat can, because a whale cannot support its own body weight. Like, when a whale gets beached, it doesn't die, because the main reason a whale dies when it's out of water is because it's slowly suffocating itself to death, because a creature of that size can't support its own weight. It's not made to support its own weight. It has to be in water. So if it had to be a goat or a fish, it would definitely be a fish.
And that is why you wail on Darth Vader the goat.
Damn right.
We celebrate this fish. We celebrate the shark fish and its triumph. But if a goat Darth Vader wishes to send a message to Goat versus Fish, or to this fish to contest the claiming of this fish, then you may do it.
100.
How would the ones communicate with you if they wish to contest these verses?
Let's see. You can, first of all, I'm not getting my phone number out, but you can all find me on Instagram at MarkTheShark927. That's Mark with a K. And you can see me, like, a bunch of places. I've got a ton of shows this month. I'm going to be in San Diego for Madhouse Comedy Club 2 weeks in a row, two nights in a row. And I think I got to check. I got to find out Tuesday. I think I'm doing the main room of the Improv, I think, in October, which is pretty cool, on one of the Tuesday shows. So I'm pumped about that.
You are speaking the verses of the speaking of this fish, yes?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations to you, yes.
Yeah, this has been the summer of the shark, I'll tell you that.
Tell us of your triumphs. Triumphs.
Dude, things have been going fantastic. I lost a lot of weight. I dropped about like 20 pounds. I'm still, working on that. I did New York. I had a great trip home, played some shows there. I'm working on a Toronto tour right now. I'm doing a whole run of Boston with my friend Sarah Keller for the week of St. Patrick's Day. Been talking to a really cool girl lately. She's been awesome. And, I had my return to Roast Battle, and that was everything I could have wanted to be. Life's been, from April till now, has been just, I can't even put in words how good life's been. Like, things have been absolutely wonderful.
No, you could not put it into those verses. You could not put it in those verses. And Goat versus Fish thinks that the ones listening, they know why.
Yeah. By the way, can I tell you exactly how the fish got the name the shark?
Of course, yes, Goat versus Fish wishes to hear these verses.
Now, here's everyone wonders why I was like, why do you call yourself that? I'm like, here's the thing, I never really called myself that. It just kind of stuck with me. And here's why. When I was a young fish, when I was barely a teenage fish. Are you familiar? You familiar with in school how they do like the scoliosis, lumbardosis, like checks in your back and stuff like that to see if your back, something wrong with your back, right?
No.
Okay, scoliosis. I'm pretty sure you probably had it growing up. Scoliosis testing, they do it in school to make sure there's no wrong curvature of your back or whatever. Well, they found that they had I had some kind of little weird curvature of the spine, so they needed me to do some exercises during the summertime. So at the summer, we lived in Cape Cod, and it's kind of funny that...
Oh, that is a fish called fish.
Well, here's the thing. Cape Cod, yes, it is a codfish, but the old saying in Cape Cod, especially in Chatham, one of the towns in that area, is that every week is Shark Week.
Every week is Shark Week. It is always the verses of shark fish.
Well, yeah, because we're known for having a ton of great whites. Jaws in Amity Bay and shit that was based off that area. And here's especially now, because during one summer, the seal population during the summer there explodes. There's so many seals. There's seals everywhere. So what I can only imagine is one day one big old great white was swimming along, saw the all-you-can-eat buffet, called some of his boys, because now there's great whites all the time in there. So that's...
Goat versus Fish suspects there is not.
Great whites? Check it out. Look it up. Someone recently got killed there. There's someone by one.
There is no black or white. There is only goat and fish.
Well, a very big white shark fish.
It is a fish, and it is a shark.
Yes.
Goat versus fish will trust these verses. But if it is calling itself white, then it is perhaps more fencitally than it may seem, yes.
It's just that type of shark fish. But anyway, so I was at a gym that summer. I was like 13. It was this old boxing gym. It was called Dave's Gym. And the owner, Dave, always liked me. And he called me Mark the Shark for some way. He just called me that. And then my mom heard it. And then she called me that in front of my friends. And then they just started calling me that. And it just kind of stuck with me. So I eventually went on this. And then a show I did back in Boston, like if some of my friends were there to see me that night, and the host just ran and go, "Who did you come to see?" And I was like, and before I could even tell, dude, shut up, they all yelled it, Mark the Shark. And then, so the host brought me on stage as Mark the Shark Stevenson, and then the name stuck with me. And I was like, at this point, fuck it. It's my Instagram handle. Like, it's, I mean, I don't go on stage as it anymore. God, no. I'm like, it was fun when I was younger, but I'm like, I've got kind of a bit of a career ahead of me now. I can't be doing that, but I still have it as my handle. I still have it as my nickname. My friends call me that. People know me as that. So
Goat versus Fish knows you as this, yes?
Yes.
The shark is very fish. You are calling yourself a fish even before you have heard the verses of Goat versus
exactly.
Fish.
So that's the origin story of the name of where it came from.
The origin, the beginnings of the shark versus the shark verses, yes.
Damn right.
Now, on the Book of Faces, just this verses, you did say that it was the return of the goats this year. You said it was the return of the goats this year. Goat versus Fish has seen that you are very fond of goat. You seem to be speaking of goat all of the verses. Why is this fish so fond of these goat?
Well, because here's the thing. Goats are just as important as fish are, as you can well agree. Now, when I say goats, I mean greatest of all time. So it's just because like a lot of people who had it's kind of funny that all the people I listed, John Jones, Tom Brady, Eminem, and one other person I mentioned.
You say a tiger is a goat.
This particular tiger is a goat. Hold on. John Jones, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods. Yeah. So all four of the people I mentioned, 3 athletes and a musician who are often considered to be the greatest of all time, which is abbreviated as GOAT, back in February, had some bad shit happen to them. And now in the fall, things are going their way. Tiger Woods just still couldn't win a championship. Tom Brady's, I would say his defense lost him a championship he shouldn't have lost. John Jones got accused of like doing steroids when he didn't, and Eminem put out the worst record of his career. And 7 months later, as of today, the Patriots look at themselves again. Tiger Woods won a champion tournament. John Jones got cleared to fight again, and Eminem put out arguably one of his best albums. So I was like, okay, Return of the Goats. And not to mention, I had a good comeback match a few days ago. So I'm like, all right, it's comeback season.
So you are a fish who celebrates the triumph of goat. Surely if they have triumphed as goat, they must have triumphed over a fish because it is goat versus fish. You would be pleased when a goat triumphs a fish.
Some. I mean, unless they triumph me, that's one thing. But other than that, hey, not all fish are created equal.
Ah, these are interesting verses. Explain these verses to Goat versus Fish. You have said that goat and fish are equally important. That is your verses, yes? You say not all fish are equal fish.
And not all goats are superior goats.
Ah, are you a superior fish? Are you a superior fish?
You're damn right I'm a superior fish.
It is a superior shark fish.
Oh, yeah.
The first verses that Goat versus Fish spoke to you. On the showing up of going up, yes?
Yes, and for what you're referring to, for those of you listening at home, it was the very first time that Goat versus Fish appeared. And it was beautiful. I remember I pulled your name and I was like, all right, so on deck is going to be Goat versus Fish. And I was confused. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, at first I'm like, all right, who the fuck wrote this? I thought it was just some joker or something, or maybe like, friggin' Tom Whalen, another fish, whale fish, being stupid or something. And then I just hear someone from the back, it is here, Goat versus here, and it is written that Goat versus Fish is here. I was like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, and I remember you walked on stage. I'm like, all right, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to babysit this. I don't know what this is. I'm like, because you were being you, but then I was like, I don't know. And then you did your whole little Goat versus Fish and the song and all that stuff. And you got done. And I'm like, I don't know what I just saw, but I kind of want to see it again. And then 3 months later, me and Sarah were in the back doing that. We just looked at each other. We're like, when you're doing your act, I was like, we're not sick of it. I'm like, fuck it. And then you just kind of became a local favorite. And I love it. I love Goat versus Fish. And I love watching you do when you think. When I did a show at the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club a few months back, and all of a sudden you showed up.
Yes, Goat versus Fish remembers those verses, yes.
And then I remember Jeff was on the show. I'm like, you're not going to believe he was here. He goes, dude, I just saw him put him on stage right now. I'm like, oh my God. And the favorite thing is that people in Ventura didn't really know Goat versus Fish. You got on stage, and I have never seen an audience more confused and entertained at the same time. I'm like, they fucking loved you, and I loved that they loved you. I'm like, I'm in the back. I was with Darren Davis, who you well know, and I was like Darren, I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. I was like, that was the icing on the cake.
Goat versus Fish is very pleased to have the love and support of this fish. Goat versus Fish loves and supports this fish as well.
Cheers.
Yes, we cheer and celebrate the fish and Goat versus Fish.
Rock on.
Let us see. Excuse Goat versus Fish. Checking the verses,
Check the verses. I'm having fun. I'm having a good goddamn day today. I'm having fun on this podcast.
Ah, yes.
What's up?
On the 25th verses of the Goat versus Fish podcast, Goat versus Fish spoke to one fence sitter that is calling itself Eric Marino. Yes.
Yeah, Eric.
That one fence sitter that is always calling itself verses had verses to say of you. It was saying that. Describe that verse.
I guess it was at the most misunderstood most misunderstood show in comedy, the Show Up Go Up. I had heard I used to do a show in the upstairs of the Comedy Store, and on Sunday nights, and I had been away traveling across the country for the summer, and I had heard a little bit about this performer that was known as Goat versus Fish. And I would also see my producers were like, oh, yeah, man, you got to see Goat versus Fish. And I'm like, what the fuck is Vote versus Fish? And then one of our idiot sound guys was like, you got to see it. You haven't seen it? You're an idiot. And I'm like, you're an idiot, so shut up and you're fired. No, you can't fire me. And anyway.
Oh, you have to look at Goat versus Fish. Have you heard of Goat versus Fish? That is how it was saying that it was that you were sounding fish. But Goat versus Fish wishes to give this fish its own verses to explain how it is that you were speaking to that fence sitter.
Oh no, I was just saying you got to check this guy out. Like I was like, it's just he's become like the new favorite of Show Up Go Up. Like we couldn't like at that point. I'm like, he has to be up. Like it was to the point where I'm like, it's not Show Up Go Up if Goat versus Fish does not make an appearance.
Goat versus Fish should return to that verses again. Goat versus Fish was at that verses recently, yes, at recent verses, yes, singing the opening celebration, yes, but Goat versus Fish should come again. We
would always love for Goat versus Fish to come and be Goat versus Fish.
And where is the showing up and going up now?
It is at the Sycamore Tavern. It's located in the dojo, which is upstairs. The Sycamore Tavern is a very big staple of the LA comedy community. It has shows there every night. It has people performing there every night, we cannot be more grateful for that establishment and for Sam Tripoli who established that and everything else.
Why does one Al Bahmani sit on the fence?
Dude, I can't explain half the shit Al does, man. I can't figure it. Like I just kind of go with it. Whatever Al does, I'm like, whatever. Is Al being Al? Is Al there? Yeah, Al's there. All right. Yeah, like I just whatever Al does, I'm just kind of just going with it. Only Al. I can't explain Al. Only Al can explain Al, and I don't think even Al Bahmani can explain Al Bahmani. I can't picture him being a goat or a fish. He is a versus. He's a fence sitter.
Sarah Kenny.
She could definitely be a goat.
It has said to Goat versus Fish it is a goat.
It's 100% a goat.
But you versus with this goat. You frequently versus with this goat, yes? Tell us of Goat versus Fish. Tell us of Goat versus Fish.
Well, I mean, actually, here's the thing. Me and Sarah are often kind of on the same page with a lot of stuff. Like, we kind of get along really well. We butt heads a couple times with producing stuff as anybody runs a show would. But at the end of the day, Sarah is like, she's like, I was called, I got a bunch of Sarahs in my life. But as far as comedy Sarahs go, I got 3. I got one in Canada. She's cool. And then my 2 Sarahs in LA, there's Sarah Keller, who is my be-all, end-all best friend. And then Sarah Kenny is the goat in question here. Sarah Kenny is like my comedy aunt, I call her. She really is. She's like she is like that, but
Ant is a goat, yes, Goat versus Fish. Must remember those verses. Continue, yes.
Yes. And I guess, as running a show with anybody goes, you disagree with a few things from time to time, but at the end of the day, me and her are often on the same page with a lot of things. Like, I really do love working with Sarah. She's a sweetheart.
Goat versus fish. Then perhaps it is the unity of the goatfish, but the only way to know for certain is to have you and that goat here on the Goat vs. Fish podcast and to versus one another. Do you issue verses to that goat? Would you challenge that goat to a versus here on the Goat vs. Fish podcast?
I mean, I'll do anything with Sarah. I'm not sure it would be a versus. Her and I get along great, but I'd be happy. But you know what? I'd be happy to do that.
It is Goat versus Fish. It is Goat versus Fish. Come, be fish that is versus
fine,
the goat.
I will verse it, but I have to ask you a question.
Questions for Goat versus Fish. But wait! The fish cried out.
Why can't it be goat and fish?
Why can it not be goat and fish? There are goat and fish. There are goat and fish. You are a fish.
Mm-hmm.
There are many goat that are here. Darth Vader is a goat. There are goat and fish. And there is a special verses of goat and fish. There is a special verses of goat and fish. But it only comes once a verses, and it has already passed this verses. Even the Bahmani fence-sitter one on the verses of goat and fish was goat and fish. It was goat and fish on that verses, but no more. Now it is simply sitting on the fence until the next verses of goat and fish. Why do you wish it to be goat and fish?
I feel we'll get along better together.
Well, you can be getting along with any goat that you wish as long as you are verses.
Well, I am versus and I am the fish.
It is versus and it is fish. Celebration.
I mean, I love to be true, I love the battle. Fucking roast. I mean, just that roast battle. I used to be a kickboxer and I'm thinking about doing that again, like in the new year. Might start training again, just for fun.
Any way that you wish to versus Goat versus Fish will support your versus. Supports your versus, yes, as long as it is Goat versus Fish.
Fuck yeah.
At some verses, when you are seeing Goat vs. Fish at the Comedy Store Los Angeles, you have a look of confusion about you, yes, many do, but you are saying such strange things to Goat vs. Fish. You are saying things as, are you in character, Goat vs. Fish? Or who am I speaking to now, you ask, Goat vs. Fish? Goat, what is the meaning of these verses?
Because sometimes you are a different person. I don't want to reveal your secret identity, but sometimes when your alter ego to, be amongst the fence sitters unnoticed.
Look upon Goat vs. Fish now. Take in Goat vs. Fish.
You are Goat versus Fish right now.
This is Goat vs. Fish.
This is Goat versus Fish. I got that.
Yes. Remember Goat vs. Fish.
I will. Do you think I could ever forget Goat versus Fish?
No.
I feel honored that I am the one that summoned you the first time. That makes me very happy.
It is a special fish. It is a special fish. Goat vs. Fish was looking upon the visages of that verses, and you were saying, please be funny, please be funny, please be funny.
And you were.
Thank you. Why do you wish Goat vs. Fish to be funny?
Because here's the thing. Comedy open mics especially show up, go up. We get some insane characters in there from time to time. So I'm like, okay, please let this not be some guy who's just coming up here to fuck with us. And you did a great job. That was fun. Like, I don't remember what you did, but you just do. I can't even describe like what you do, but you Goat versus Fish shit, you do it. And I was just staring at you. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I can't stop watching. And like, you could have gone for a while and I'd be like, what is going on? Like, it's like, we're so confused, but it's like, I like it.
Some do tire of Goat vs. Fish. Some do tire of Goat vs. Fish, but this fish is always ready for more verses.
We're all who if you don't like Goat vs. Fish, fuck you. That's my slogan for this episode. If you don't like Goat vs. Fish, then fuck you. You don't like fun. You don't like fun. You don't like having fun.
If you don't like Goat vs. Fish, then fuck you.
You don't like fun.
Says the fish.
Yeah.
Says the fish.
Damn right.
Then fuck you.
Yes.
Says the fish. Says the fish.
Like, people who don't like Goat versus Fish are probably people I wouldn't even hang out with anyway. Like, fucking, if you don't like Goat versus Fish, you don't like sunsets, you don't like ice cream, you don't like walks in the park, you don't like Gronk, you don't like anything that's fun and happy and cool and whatever. You, just get over it. It's a fun thing. We all have fun with it. How do you dislike it? It's fun. It's funny. We all enjoy it. I love Goat versus Fish. If you don't like Goat versus Fish, then fuck you. That's what I'm saying today.
Excellent verses from this fish. What do you say to the goat?
It's on.
What do you say to the fish?
I got you.
What do you say to the fence sitter.
Pick a damn side, motherfucker.
And what do you say to Goat versus Fish?
Keep doing you.
And it was written, and it was written. And now, Goat, Fish, and Fence Sitter alike are the verses to celebrate Goat versus Fish. There are many ways to celebrate Goat versus Fish, so many ways to celebrate Goat versus Fish. But with Goat versus Fish now is Mark the Shark Stevens Fish.
And I'm happy to be here. I really am.
Do you have a celebration for Goat versus Fish? You may take a few verses if you need to ponder your celebration. Yes, there is no rushing to these verses, yes. But if you have a celebration, it can be a singing verses, it can be a poem verses, it can be any verses you wish, a simple speaking verses, as long as it is a celebration of either goat or fish or Goat versus Fish or even the fence sitter.
I'm just going to say I celebrate Goat versus Fish because you represent fucking comedy, right, in some ways. You know, you just have fun and you don't make sense, but it's just funny and people like it. You put in work to something that you really, I don't know too many other comics who can actually have A, good merchandise, B, a memorable shtick, and C, like fun like I'm putting this shit on my car. I'm putting this Goat versus shit on my car when I get home. This is gonna be a fun bumper sticker, and people are gonna be like, what does that mean? I'm like, I'll explain later. I'll explain later. I will explain all of it later. I'm putting this big one on my MacBook. Like, fuck it. Like, it's just fun. Like, everything you do is just enjoyable. We all enjoy it. It's fun. Like, you make, you know what? You just make, you lighten the mood. You really do. We're all so, like, we're like, the comedy scene is just like this one big pool of just anxiety-ridden people who wake up every day worrying about stuff, and you just add like this fun little thing to it that can just, you know, even you kind of add a little bit of relief to certain things, you know. And I just love you watching do your thing. And I've never would have in all my years thought of Goat versus Fish. You did something original, which can't be said for a lot of things. For real.
That was a celebration of Goat versus Fish. Thank you for being a part of Goat versus Fish.
I would not have missed it for anything.
These are the verses of Goat versus Fish. Subscribe, rate, and review the Goat versus Fish podcast on the iTunes and the YouTube and the Spotify. Follow Goat vs. Fish on all social media. The Instantgram, the Book of Faces, the Twitterver. All at Goat vs. Fish. All at GoatVsFish. And if you wish to witness a live versus of Goat vs. Fish at one of the comedy places or conventions, go to GoatVsFish.com to find the places and times of all future verses. The theme celebration for this verses was an offering by McHenry on SoundCloud, a fish. And if you have a celebration of Goat vs. Fish in song or poem, or perhaps a question for Goat vs. Fish, do send it. Send it to goatvsfish@gmail.com or on the social media. Join the Goat vs. Fish discussion group on the Book of Faces to discuss Goat vs. Fish with other goat and fish. And when you are out in the land and the sea, look about you. Look about you! Find one who is lost. Find one who does not know the way. And ask. Simply ask. Are you goat or are you fish? Are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? Thank you for joining Goat vs. Fish. I am Goat vs. Fish, the GoatVsFish.
And it was written, and it was written.
Could you triumph over Tom Brady GOAT?
Oh, ooh. That that is a question I don't think even I can answer.